The reason we use tracking markers is to give us points of contrast to be able to track. So point of contrast could be the difference between like a lighter value and a darker value. It could be a difference between color values. The idea with this is that we're putting in a background plate behind the car. So you can see obviously it doesn't move much, but the camera is mounted to the car. So we really wanted to see how the background moves in comparison so that we can kind of feel the suspension of the car. And in this case, these tracking markers are placed in the front windshield because I knew that they would be most out of the way. You know, if these don't quite key perfectly, and there's some cleanup behind our subject, it would be a lot easier because our subject doesn't move in front of them here. As well as I wanted to preserve some of these nice reflections here, ideally, and add those into the background plate that we're going to be adding. The moving footage that gives it the appearance that they're driving and then coming to a stop. That was the decision made on the wide shot. On the close-up here, you can see that they're really out of focus, but you can see the tracking markers. So in the close-up shot, we had to move the tracking markers from here to here so that we had an area that we could track. And you know, we're really not seeing that reflection as much, but even if we were, we don't really have much of another choice on this close-up shot. This was a fairly complicated shot, and this is a good example of talking about points of contrast. This shot was really tricky because she is interacting with an oven that we replaced with CGI. So this is one where they had to render out every frame because the camera is moving. Talking about points of contrast, you know, you can see like there are points of contrast on this plane. If we talk about kind of like planes, like we have, you know, if you flat surfaces, you see this kind of plane here. There are some points, like these corners give us some points. We added a few more tracking markers, I think mostly because we knew that these ones in the foreground would be really easy to paint out, and it couldn't hurt to have more. And then in the background, you see like there's a lot of, you know, points of contrast here. There's some stuff on the countertop, but this back wall was an area I was really concerned about because it's just a plain wall, and you know she goes in front of it. So these tracking markers were added to give us more points of contrast because really, other than this little area up here, there's not much there. A lot of footage, there's plenty of things to track that are built in. So we really want to use tracking markers in cases where there aren't those points of contrast that might be able to help us solve a shot. Good cases of those are green screens, and another case is something like this where we know it's going to be a harder shot